Hey everyone, it's Matt Mitrovich, the alternate historian. I'm back with Alana, and I have a hat.
He's so cute.
It's for our discussion on Outlander, the Stars. Yeah, not the book though, the Stars adaptation. Although Alana's read the book and I haven't. I know we talked about doing 11/22/63, but because Outlander's season 2 is coming out this weekend, we figured we do a little. Share our thoughts about season 1, which we ended up binge watching because it was free on Stars. I still think it is free, right?
It's free through next week.
So go watch it.
Yes,
or
woo!
Don't, depending on how this discussion goes. But I have a hat because I got it when we went to go see an exhibit on the clothes of Downton Abbey at the Dry House Museum in River North, Chicago. Yeah. So it's not exactly Scottish, but it's from the same island. So, it works. But I'm not the expert here. Elena is. So, Elena, describe Outlander.
Okay, so Outlander is a story about Claire. And Claire's the main character. And she and her husband, Frank, are on a second honeymoon because World War II just ended.
It's 1945.
And so he was away fighting, she was away being a nurse, and they're reconnecting their marriage because, like many other couples, they got married really quickly at the beginning of World War II, and then they were separated. So from there, they're in Scotland, and I forget the name of the exact town they're in, but they go and look at these different ruins at one point and visit different sites, and then she chooses to go back there by herself and sees a ritual going on by
sees where the ruins were they ruins or are they something else? Describe the ruins.
Like because they kind of look like Stonehenge kind of stones.
Yeah, they go to a castle where they do some stuff, but then she also goes to the sort of like standing stones, the circles.
Right.
So you got to be more specific.
Right. So they did visit a castle that is in ruins, and they visit these stones that kind of look like Stonehenge. I haven't been to Stonehenge, even though I've been to England.
It's a circle of standing stones.
Right. And this time when she goes back by herself because she wanted certain flowers that were growing there, she touches the stone and is sent back to
1740 something.
Yeah. In the middle of some craziness that's going on. And Matt can describe the political and the war and things that are going on there.
It's right before just a couple years before the Jacobite uprisings, where Bonnie Prince Charlie will land his forces back in Britain, and the Highlanders will rise up and they'll try to put a Stuart back on the throne. This is where my expertise editing skills are going to come in, because I don't remember the name of the battle that was the turning point of the war, but I will make sure I put it somewhere here. I think it was the Battle of Cullen, maybe? I think that's how it was called. I guess we're going to figure out how smart I am. But it was massive defeat for the Jacobite forces. It was actually some interesting history about it. It was the last pitched battle on English soil. This was pretty much, after this, Britain never really had to worry about invasion or any other type of fighting on their soil. So, yay for Britain, I guess. But this is a couple of years before that. Right now, the Jacobites... She runs in. Well, you can keep going. I can keep talking.
Well, so what happens is she is found by a few men, including Jamie and Jamie.
Jamie what? What's his last name? Fraser.
Fraser, thank you, Frank.
Who's he running with?
He is running with
the Mackenzies.
The Mackenzies, and there's some.
You read the book, right?
I am, but I'm sorry. All these names, and it's late. It's late at night. I have a long day.
What?
Okay.
It's late? How could you know? We don't see the natural sunlight. It could be any day. Don't tell these to... Okay, I'll stop talking. Keep talking.
Anyways, I just really like Jamie. He's just really...
He is a looker. He's a looker.
So,
men and women seem to like him, too.
Yeah. So, anyways, also...
But that's not the first person she meets, though.
She meets... Yes, this is true. She meets a British... he's captain?
Sure.
Yeah, captain. His name is, why is all these names escaping me?
Randall,
and turns out that he is the, relative ancestor of Frank, her husband, back in 1945.
And they look
same actor, obviously.
Same actor, because they're following that time travel trope where you go back in time and you see someone who looks just like you or some other character.
Right. So a couple of great grandfathers ago, basically.
Like in Back to the Future, where Michael J. Fox would go back in time and there'd be him playing Michael J. Fox. That was like in the Back to the Future 3, where he played both his great.
So she sees him as well, and obviously she's in clothes that are funny looking, and she obviously is completely confused and not sure what's going on. And so for the rest of the season, he is trying to figure out what her secret is. Which her secret is that she's from the future.
And she hides this by saying
that she is of noble blood, and that she was traveling, and I think her carriage got overtaken or something.
And where she says she's from too.
Oxford.
Yeah, but she was from France technically too. She kept saying that.
She used France, and then
French. But she's not French. She's English.
Because you can hear her English accent. Yeah, I mean, but she speaks French. She's shown that she knows French.
Mm-hmm. Not too much Gaelic though.
Yeah, right. She has no idea what they're talking about when they're speaking in their other language.
So what does she do when she's in the past now? What is her job like?
A healer, because obviously in 1945 she was a nurse.
The Mackenzies.
For the Mackenzies. She's a healer for the Mackenzies. So she does join the Mackenzies. She's taken back to the castle, which she had seen the ruins of, and now she sees, which is kind of cool, that she sees, like, the real castle.
Make sure everyone's paying attention. There will be a text at the end of this.
So let's just say the season was so long that they did split it in two. And so for the first half of the season, we watched a while ago, and then when I found out it was free on Stars, we watched the second season in one big chunk. So right now, the second season in one big chunk is more, the second part of the season is more in my head. You want to add a little?
Well, since I do know somebody needs to get to bed, because it's night, apparently. I'm gonna sort of sum up a lot of some of the plots so we can finally get to our actual thoughts of the show. So the thing is, so you got Claire working kind of as a healer with the Mackenzies. She's starting having a budding relationship with Janie. At some point, they actually are forced to marry to prevent her from being taken by the British.
Right, because that makes her Scottish.
Yeah. Makes her Scottish, so they can't touch her and stuff like that. And at first, it's a forced marriage, but she's kind of had some romantic moments with him, and eventually they both actually are in love. However,
they're so in love. I'm so jealous.
However, they are harassed by Rando, who's pretty vicious guy. I mean, if anyone's ever seen,
disgusting.
If anyone's seen the movie The Patriot, Mel Gibson's The Patriot, the bad British officer, that's pretty much Randall, except more rapier, and not for women.
He definitely.
At one, I mean, I guess we should just here. I'll sum it up. Everyone talks about all the awful violence toward women in Game of Thrones, and I'm going to be comparing Game of Thrones to Outlander a lot, mostly because season 2 is coming out in the same month as season 6 now as for Game of Thrones. So they're definitely Starz competition.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think Starz is really trying to compete with Game of Thrones by picking up on a book series that's popular and all that.
Right. And has a sort of fantastic element of time travel, and while the other one has dragons.
Yeah.
That being said, but in Outlander, if women are violently sexually assaulted in Game of Thrones, it's the men who are violently sexually
all
assaulted.
done by Randall.
Randall has
it's gross.
Hard on for Jamie, and he gives him his hard on more than once. And it was the second to last episode. Well, no, because I think they went back. Yeah, okay, so it was the last
episode of the season. It was the one we watched last night.
That was such
torture, and it was he was already injured on top of it, had already been tortured, and
he was tortured and raped by Randall. At one point, he even sort of hypnotized him to thinking that it was Claire, and then he raped him, and it was all
just
really
almost
dark.
too graphic. I mean, and we said, we watch Game of Thrones, and we're avid fans of it, but even we had to look away on several occasions because we were disturbed.
I'm just scratching sort of the outside. Scratching the outside? I'm not sure that's the right kind of word I'm looking for, but scratching the surface. There we go, scratching the surface of this show because there's so much we've left out and moved over.
Yes.
But it's about this relationship, this romantic relationship between this one from the future, Claire, and Jamie, this Scottish rebel. As they
Lord though, but because
he's a Lord in exile.
He's technically a Lord in exile.
He's got a price on his head, which is kind of the reason why he was hanging out with the Mackenzies, because he can't go back to his ancestral home because there's a price on his head that they're looking for him there, so they'd catch him and take him away.
And at one point he does return in the show. He does return. His sister and her husband are taking care of the estate.
But it's not as important as some of the other things.
No, it's not as important. But just saying that he is a lord. He's not just some peasant on the street or whatever. He is someone of somewhat importance in society.
True. But I'm kind of getting back to the comparisons between Game of Thrones and Outlander. Game of Thrones. I remember reading one article comparing the two shows, and Game of Thrones. No problem. Is for the male gaze, if I can use that quote. While Outlander is for the female gaze. And Game of Thrones, if you see nudity, it's mostly women, and there's a certain figure that they go through when they show women naked in that show. They especially breasts, and they got to be pretty firm. In Outlander,
how much? Okay,
I watch those shows a lot because they have important cultural value, Elena.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe this is something I shouldn't be brought up, but my point is that...
Well, don't watch either show in front of your kids.
No, I wouldn't do that.
Even Outlander.
Or don't watch it in front of your parents either.
No.
How old you are. We'll get after that to another, maybe if we ever do our thoughts on Game of Thrones. But with Outlander, it's definitely they look for good-looking men to show off, and it's interesting. It's definitely they're going for more of a female audience, but as a guy who's watched the entire first season of Outlander, I liked it. I think I have to be honest, I like Game of Thrones more.
Right.
And that's not just because I like female rape. No, I don't. It's any sexual violence toward anybody, regardless of gender, regardless of who's doing it as well, is wrong. I think I just like Game of Thrones because I'm just a big fan of George R. R. Martin's writing. I think I even got a couple of his books from various other things on here. And at the same time, I kind of like the fantasy elements. Outlander has this time travel, but it's a really small part of the show. It just causes her to get there and has her have some fish out of water moments as she has to learn to survive in this environment, this different time period. But she doesn't really she doesn't do a lot of things you would see in other time travel or alternate history stories. Hey, I turned it back to the subject of the channel. She doesn't really try to change the past per se. The last episode, they're fleeing the flats to get away from Randall, her and Jamie. And she actually says, we can stop. She knows that the Jacobites are going to lose, that the Highland culture is going to be wiped out by the British. She's like, let's go and find the prince. Let's convince him not to do it or change the past. I don't think they're going to be successful, but it does have that alternate show. In fact, at one point, without giving too much away, she actually does run into somebody from the future as well, from even someone from the 60s, not because Claire's from the 1940s, or from the 60s, from even farther in the future from her, and it's only a brief moment where we find this out, and I remember too, it's the person, because long story short, at one point Claire's actually put on trial for being a witch, and as long as this other woman, and she admits near the end before she's about to be burned at the stake, she's kind of gives clues before eventually proving to Claire that she is from the future. Yeah. And it's quite clear that she was really supporting the Jacobite cause. And she especially, I remember what she was saying to Claire right before they went back into the trial. She's like, did you come to change here? It's she knew that Claire was from the future, even if Claire didn't. And she was like, did you come back here to change anything? And it's oh, so this woman came back to change the past, to maybe, because she seemed to be Scottish, even with her accent and everything like that.
Right.
So maybe she was some Scottish supporter of independence who wanted to change the past to allow Scotland to be independent earlier. Maybe not. I don't know. We don't know. She's dead. She was burned at stake as a witch. Long story.
Yeah. And unfortunately, they were, as soon as that she was burned at stake, was seconds before she revealed to Claire that she was from the future. And so in the book, Claire definitely focuses, how she wished she could have asked more questions and that guy. And me too. I'm thinking oh my God, I wonder where this woman came from and why is she here and how did she get here and has she gone back and forth?
Magic.
And those are all things.
Just like Claire got.
I understand that, but there's another scene where Claire does tell Jamie her real story, and he brings her to the stones and gives her through nightfall.
He actually believes her.
He believes her, and they seem to believe in a lot of magic, though. They believe in the fairies and
so I guess saying time travel is not that crazy.
Yeah, to like some of their superstition stuff, he was kind of like, okay, like, yeah, those stones are a wacky place to be. So he gives her to nightfall to decide if she's choosing to go back, and she chooses not to. She chooses to stay with Jamie.
Hey, Frank, suck it.
Kind of, and you know what? I kind of didn't like her husband.
Why? He was a nice guy.
I'm not saying he wasn't a nice guy. I just didn't think that they looked that I don't know. I guess I just like Jamie. I'm Team Jamie. Let's go back to like the whole Twilight team. We're Team Jacob. I'm Team Jamie. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I have a little bit of a crush on Jamie.
Yeah, she's cheating on her husband.
Yes,
it doesn't matter. It's like the people say, "Hey, different area code," or sorry, different zip code. Or something like that. That means
different country.
It's like different time period. It's not really the same country because it's still Britain. She left Britain to go to the past, which was still Britain.
Just
different time.
I'm a different country from me, like, you know.
So it's like a different time zone.
Okay, yeah. So it is interesting because even the art for the show is her reaching back for Frank's hand / reaching towards Jamie, whose hands. So I mean, she is torn, and I'm sure she wears both her wedding rings on either finger. If you've noticed that when they focus on her hands a little bit, she wears. I mean, so these are like minor details we're kind of sharing. So I guess now, Matt, what's your overall opinion?
Oh, I sort of talked about it a little bit already. Like I said, I liked it compared to a show like, say, that uses some of fantastical elements, like time travel, which actually, I think we're seeing a lot of time travel in the previews, like Game of Thrones. It's good. I still don't know if I like it as good as Game of Thrones. I also think that Claire kind of is a little dumb at times. I mean, like, here's some advice in case you ever find yourself in the past. I don't know why you would, but just assume you were. Don't bring attention to yourself. You consider it like a foreign country. Keep a low profile. Learn as you go. Don't make any sudden, snap decisions. Don't embroil yourself in things you don't understand. You are a foreigner in a foreign land, and you don't know anything about the place. They don't care if they don't care if they even speak the language. Treat it like a foreign country where everyone speaks a different country, speaks a different language, practices a different religion than you do, does everything opposite until you're comfortable with it. Just don't mess around. Don't even try. I think Claire, too many times, a lot of the issues have just been her kind of poking her nose into things. And while sometimes I can sympathize with her and what she did stand for, at the same time, it's like, you're going to get killed. So don't do that. There's also this one episode that's kind of bizarre, which was near the end of the season, where Jamie is found out. He goes into hiding in the wilderness, and one of his friends teams up with Claire to kind of search for him. And his friend's plan is to bring attention to themselves by just kind of making themselves obvious. At first, the guy starts doing these dances at inns to sort of make himself obvious, and then Claire's
terrible at those dances.
Sure, that's what makes it funny. And then Claire is is a nurse, so she's giving medical care, and then she starts reading palms. And at one point, she even does a version of what's the Boy Company? I don't even know the words to the song, but that melody, she does a whole Scottish song to it, and she gets this whole persona as the Sassenach, and she goes around, and at some point she gets to an argument with gypsies who steal her act, and it's all just supposed to bring attention to themselves so that Jamie would find them. And then suddenly I'm like, what am I watching? This is
was a terrible episode.
WTF
just
moment.
Stupid episode, totally a waste. And then when they did the summary for the next one, it was fine.
You know what? Here's the thing. I could admit that it's clever. If someone's hiding, but they will come out if they know you're there, how do you bring attention to yourself? Yeah, making yourself obvious. Draw every eye onto you, that so someone would maybe say something in passing that the person would overhear and they'd come find you. It, on its face, sounds clever. But later in that same episode, they get a hint of where Jamie is, and he's in this place, and the friend's like, oh, I know that place, and Jamie knows it. Yeah, you definitely would go there. And a part of me was thinking,
then why didn't you go there?
Why didn't you go there or any other hiding spot that you could possibly have thought of?
First.
Then that didn't work out doing that. It just seemed dumb. It just seemed like I was watching this and couldn't understand what I was watching. Couldn't make any sense of it.
And the thing is, I read the book like over a year ago. This was like last summer-ish, last spring maybe. I think you got it for Christmas for me 2 Christmases ago. So, because I got the second book this Christmas.
Or your other boyfriend,
Yeah, the guy looks like Jamie. So no.
I'm the Frank.
Right, exactly. So I don't remember that whole thing being in here. Or I don't remember it being so obvious, so stupid sounding. I'm sorry. I mean, they had great. All the
whole episode of them trying to entertain people.
I almost was like, okay, like we literally were like, we're done here. Like we couldn't handle it. Like
but it was so close
bad.
To the end.
Yeah, I just had to finish the season, and then the last episode with Jamie being raped, the scenes of him that just really were disturbing. Something I just feel like they should have done more of implying that this happened and not.
It was a huge tonal shift to the show because the show. It's not to say the show hasn't done serious things, or sometimes they've dealt with violence or some of the dark aspects of Highlander culture, but it went from this like silliness of them trying to be entertainers to prison rape within an episode of each other. And it was just like, what am I watching? It was a roller coaster, but not in a good way. The roller coaster makes you kind of barf a little bit. And it was just like. But at the same time, it's still. I actually recommend you go watch it, regardless of you're a guy or a girl. It's actually not bad. It's just for free. It's not going to cost you anything.
Yeah, overall, I think Outlander is great. I think they did really good job with it in terms of the book. They didn't like take away too much. They didn't add in too much of their own stuff. I think the scenery and the beauty of Scotland is there when they show, like. Larger pieces of land and that kind of thing. I think it looks beautiful. I think that I like. I'm not sure if I really like the actress that they used for Claire. You made a good point that she's not like this supermodel, beautiful looking woman.
Yeah. Just a norm.
But in the show, she says she's 27. We looked up the actress. She's 36, and so she doesn't look 27. I mean, I will come out here and say I am 32 years old, okay? She definitely looks older than me, in my opinion. So when she says in the show she's 27, I'm like, yeah, right. And I knew, yeah, right. So I'm not sure, but at the same time, I feel like the actress that plays her and the actor that plays Jamie, the two have a great connection and a great chemistry, and I think they work well together. So in the end, I am kind of happy with their choices of who played them. I just, sometimes when it's just her, I'm kind of like, I don't really like her. Maybe I don't like her mannerisms. I'm not sure what I don't like about her. I don't know. But I love them. I love the relationship. I love them. I love the whole Scottish feel to it. I love that Jamie wears a kilt all the time. I love that it just looks, I just think the whole thing looks, and like, I don't know, Matt and I have mentioned before, like, we both love England, we both love London. Like Ireland and Scotland are our list of places to visit, and so that just whole part of Europe to us is really attractive, and so I just think it looks beautiful.
One issue I have with the show is the fact that the Scottish culture was sort of given a good balance, specifically the Highlander culture. You saw both the good and bad sides of it, the stuff that's worth saving, the stuff they probably get rid of. That's fine, except they didn't do the same with the English. The English characters are either just awful monsters like Randall, or they're just foppish gentlemen. Yes. Or they're just pompous assholes. It's very few good English people. The best
except
English,
for Claire,
who's not even from that time period, so you can't judge.
Right.
So I would have loved to have seen them show some sympathetic English characters instead of just sympathetic Scottish characters. I understand that they're trying to make the Scots and the Highlander culture specifically as this sort of like, oh, they're doomed, they're a lost cause, and we should sympathize with them. It's like, at one point I tried to see a bunch of Scots burn women just because they were a little different. It's hard for me to sympathize too much with that culture, especially when the English got rid of witch burning. So make that what you will. I still think it's a good show, if just for some of the WTF moments spread throughout it. It's definitely worth a watch. It's not hard alternate history, so fans of this who are into the What If game might be a little disappointed with that, but it's interesting. Mm-hmm. No? Is that it?
Go and watch it, and since we don't have cable, the next season might be a while away that we review it, but
hopefully
I'm excited about it.
But hopefully we'll get 11/22/63 some episodes on that.
So we'll catch up now.
Yeah.
With that.
All right.
So
Done?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm Matt Mitrovich, the alternate historian. This is my wife, Alana. We'll see you guys.
Bye.